Then withdrawal, also, if you think about it, what is withdrawal? It's just another tiger. Withdrawal is sick. According to that brain, sick is bad. And then we think it into, it's so bad. Withdrawal is not really other than withdrawal. Withdrawal is just another example of the brain doing its job, which is what? This is bad. I got to get out of here. What's the best way to get out of here? Well, I'll tell you what the best way to get out of here is. You see what I'm saying? And then that brain escalates that via classical conditioning. The next thing you know, you see what I'm saying? And that becomes a tiger. Well, I know how to deal with tigers. Do you see how this is, you guys? It's a whole different way to look at and understand this whole thing, this addiction thing. Yes?
I feel like a lot of times people are self-medicating or more abusing, or is it just like that's kind of the line? It's like that people, when the withdrawal is like can make you physically sick, but also just like who you are without it and the things you have to think about and like the processes you go through there, that they're more medicating for other things that they haven't even thought about.
That's it. That's the whole point of the hedonic calculus. And that's why the whole trend with the don't do that no more and the past it doesn't matter is so wrong. Because people are not, if we were, again, I've said this so, and if I finish this out, do I have to finish this out? You know what I'm doing. And again, the whole thing is, if we were so stupid that we are going to ruin our lives just for the fun of it, we wouldn't be here today talking about it. We wouldn't have survived this long.
Right. I just mean like thinking about with the antidepressants, where like if you took someone off their antidepressants, obviously they're going to experience a change. And that doesn't make them an addict. That just means that their brain was used to functioning on the drug.
There you go. There you go.
You can't really like control that.
And that's what we're doing in this class is we're completely shifting the paradigm of understanding what addiction is, and the paradigm we operate under now isn't working. Why? Because that paradigm suggests specific ways to respond to it that aren't working, which is why we do think we're big shots at 18% success. We shift that paradigm, understand what this is. Again, we were talking out there doing our addiction, standing out there in a damn snowstorm, sucking on a cigarette. And as we were talking, I mean, think about this. And again, how dare you went out and drank last night? You didn't take care of your kids. You're a bad parent. Why isn't that enough? Because when that person is making that decision to go drink tonight, you think about this for a minute. Whatever it is that alcohol is going to make go away is so harsh, so scary. That person is not going out to have fun because they're a fucking asshole who don't care about their kids. Remember, you think about this for a minute. They're trying to survive. Because what kind of a parent are they going to be if this tiger kills them anyway? Do you hear what I'm saying with that? That's a whole different shit. That's a complete paradigm shift, you guys. And bottom line, I hope one of the things that this does, I'm going to be squeaky for a while now. One of the things, I hope that that these discussions do is help us. What was it that very first day? Hi, welcome to DAC. My name is Dan. Oh, by the way, you can't
help someone you're so damn mad at.
Hopefully this helps us stop being so damn mad. Because our brain's just like their brain, which means that when we're that damn mad, we have turned our client into a tiger, and now instead of helping that client, we're trying to beat that client, win that battle. Which is why we do some of the damn stupid things we do and call it counseling. Which doesn't work. Which exacerbates the whole damn thing. Do you see what I'm saying with that? As a matter of fact, motivational interviewing. What a sneaky way to segue into motivational interviewing. I have a cute little sneaky segue.
What if you have too much compassion for a client?
Well, that's going to be something we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about that. Because that can be. Motivational interviewing. Basically, some of the very, very, very in-your-face don'ts in motivational interviewing. Don't. As a counselor. And we do this. This list is here because we know people are already doing this. Stop shaming your client. Stop that. It doesn't work. You see, gang, when we do things, we do have to do a hedonic count. What I'm getting right now, I shame you into saying something right now. I'm a good client. Did that really create real change, or did I just teach you to be a sneakier, fuck you tilt? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying with that? Stop shaming the client. It doesn't work. Stop guilting the client. It doesn't work. Not for long-term, robust change. It doesn't work. Stop labeling that client. Motivational interviewing. Stop it. Stop doing that. Stop commanding, demanding. Stop it. These basic things with motivational interviewing. What they're saying, what this is about is, these are the things counselors have been doing for years and years. Which is why we think we're big shots at 18% success. Yeah, there's somebody out there. You catch them at the right time, and this and that and everything else, and you do these things, and by God, there's 18 years later, that's what saved my life. That's nice. There's always an exception to every situation and rule. And there are people out there, and their lives were completely enmeshed in addiction, and the only thing they ever got was a kick in the ass in all kinds of ways, and what an asshole you are, and shaming, demanding, commanding, and guilting, and it worked. Well, that's great. You know what? Once in a while, when the appliance isn't working, a good kick right in the bottom, and the next thing you know, it's working again. Does that mean that's how you fix every appliance? By kicking it?
Nope.
No. Once in a while, it jiggled the wire back in the way it was supposed to be in the first place, and you got lucky. But that's all that is. But what happens is that it did work that one time, and so that person's brain latches onto that and thinks this is the way it should be for everybody all the time. And it's not. Again, motivational interviewing. What don't do. Stop that. Shaming, labeling, guilting. Stop commanding, demanding. Stop that. Stop ordering. Stop directing. All these different things. Stop those things.
What do you mean by directing?
By just in the face telling that person what they need to do different, do, don't do, this do, that do.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Gang, a lot of this, especially if you got the right level of authority, especially if you're good enough to say that in a persuasive way, you can get short-term change with that. But it doesn't last. It doesn't have robustness. Robust. What do I mean by robust recovery?
Long-lasting.
And enduring. The kind of recovery that's going to endure the realities. Just because you stop drinking and go to a meeting doesn't mean that life doesn't suck once in a while, and that you got challenges and the trials and tribs of what life is. And I don't want a yes man. I don't want somebody that just sits there and says, well, Kelsey's idea, I feel like, well, I made a connection with my client. Yes, I did. I'm a really good counselor. My clients agreed with everything I said. You know why? Because I'm that good. And the client, well, they feel good because they got Celts off their ass for a while. And now that damn fool's going to write a good letter to my probation officer. But was there real, robust change? The change that's going to endure the true trials and tribs of real life and recovery.
Shouldn't it be a red flag to a counselor if every time, if their client agrees with everything they say?
One of the most elegant forms of resistance is absolute no resistance.
Yeah, I would think that's a problem.
Well, let's not say it's a problem. Let's say it's a
warning sign, red flag.
Let's pay attention to it.
Got it.
Let's check it out. Let's not call it necessarily a problem. Is it possible that you get somebody, they really have gotten to a point in their life and all they need is somebody to tell them what to do and they're going to agree with everything because really they genuinely are? Is that possible? Yeah. How often is that going to happen?
Not very.
Not very. And yeah, one of the most elegant forms of resistance is no resistance. Yeah, sure. Yeah, listen, we better, you know what, I'm going to note that. I'm going to keep an eye on that one. Stop threatening your client. Whether it's, if you don't do this, here's what I'm going to do, or another threat is, if you don't stop drinking, here's the bad things that's going to happen in your life. That client's not stupid, they already know that. They already know that. It hadn't stopped them so far. Why do you think you saying it's going to change anything? Stop threatening or trying to threaten that client. Or the other side of that is stop trying to bribe that client. If you will stop doing this, here's all the good things that will happen in your life. They know that too. Gang, don't forget, this person, once again, think about this for a minute. The paradox of this. I mean, why go through the trouble of stopping? Why? Because that person wants those consequences to end so that they got time to enjoy what life has to offer them, the good stuff in life. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel as if they're being productive and positive. They want to love and be loved. They want the social, the interpersonal, the intimate. They want the good things of life. They want that. That's what, the other day when I sternly told you don't ever say that again. What was that? They're committing suicide. No, they're not committing suicide. They're doing their damnedest to not kill themselves. They just don't know how to not. They really believe. I mean, once again, this person wants to be a good mother. Then what the hell is she doing drinking? Because right now that is her survival. Because if she doesn't survive, then how is she going to be any kind of a mother dead anyway? As convoluted, as paradoxical as that, that's how that brain is working. No, that person is not trying to kill themselves. They're trying to protect themselves long enough to get to the point that they can have a good life. And that's why. Don't ever say that. They're not trying to kill themselves. Addiction is not some long, slow suicide.
But if you see it as, I'm not disagreeing with you, but this is a friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? This is somebody I almost like the brother.
And get to your point, yes. And so, but what?
Come on, man. I mean, wake up, snap
Well,
out.
that doesn't mean he's trying to kill himself. That means he's not woke up. He's not trying to kill himself, though. He is in a situation in his life where he truly believes he is surrounded by tigers, and this is the best he can do to survive, not die from the tigers. That's the difference.
But it seems like he's almost enjoying the everyday 30-day pills, 30-day pills.
What he's enjoying is surviving every day because that's the only way he knows how to do that. And succeeding in that is going to feel pretty damn good. Because the alternative is what? The tigers get me. I'd rather be chasing pills than a pile of tiger shit. This person's not trying to kill himself. He's trying to survive. Does that make sense? Do you hear what I'm saying with this, you guys?
I understand.
I know
it. Still, it's still so close. It's with somebody that's that close. That's
Well,
why I could never.
That's a good lesson in, again, when we talk about
it. It'd be someone like me. You have to tell me, stop it. Wait, man, you gonna kill yourself. I'm not going to your funeral. I'm telling you now. You need to go. I'm telling you, man. I can take you to a meeting right now.
That will get his attention, and that will cause
that would be a friend.
Short-term change.
That would be a friend.
Listen, that will get his attention. That will cause short-term change. But does it last? But the point I'm making right now is, hey, and you're talking about a friend, not a counselor.
Sometimes people need to know they need to be loved.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about a friend, not a client.
Right. I wasn't talking about a client.
But the point is this. The point I'm making is this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what they need to hear, this and that and everything else, but in the long run, what we want is for this to build into long-term, robust recovery. And the point right now is, he's not trying to kill himself. Don't say that, because it doesn't amount to anything. It's not correct. He's doing his best to try and survive right now. What do you mean he's trying to survive? He is killing himself. He does it, I know, but that, once again, whatever it takes for me to ultimately walk out of this having survived it. As wrong, as sad, this is something you care about. As stressful as that is, he's not trying to kill himself. He is trying to survive. That's the best way he knows how. And whatever it costs, because don't forget, I don't care what this costs in the long run.
Yeah.
that's better than dead. And if I don't kill that tiger, if I don't get away from that tiger before it gets me, I'll be dead. No, this person's not trying to kill themselves. They're doing their damnedest not to be killed. And gang, I know, you got to wrap yourself around that a little bit. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's how that brain works. That's how that brain works.
I understand. It's just.
I know it's tough. I know it is.
Sometimes it's just personal.
Well,
You got
and
somebody you love.
that's a very good lesson in something else called what we're going to talk about next semester.
Sometimes leave them be until they're ready.
Well,
and I just can't.
the lesson I want you to hear from this is that's what we're going to talk about next semester called the professional relationship.
Right.
And all those issues. That's why you don't become a counselor to your friend or family members and
Right.
stuff. You can be an advice giver. You can be a I really care about you and I sure wish, but you can't be a counselor to that. And that's why, because it's then your brain
It's not
is
focusing
sifting
on.
through its tigers in that relationship.
Right.
So, but the point of this is, you guys, that woman who is ruining being a mother right now, and you what for? Why? Because if she doesn't do this, and her brain's way of looking at it, she'll be dead. What kind of a mother is she going to be then? Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's better to be a drunk mother than a dead mother. Yeah, but what she's doing is what's going to make her dead. I know, but that's not how her brain is looking at it right now. Does that make sense, you guys?
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough thing, isn't it? To wrap yourself around this. Do you see how, as you enjoying this way of looking at it, it's going to be a whole different way of you communicating with your client? Yeah, stop threatening. Stop bribing. And again, with your friend, who knows what? But with the client in motivational interviewing, even warning. That's another kind of a threat. Or a bribe. Warning. If you don't stop this, I'm warning you right now. Or how about this one? I'm warning you right now. If you don't change this, I will stop loving you. I will stop caring about you. Well, Dan, I don't want to be an enabler. I know that, but it's how you express that communication to that person. Of course you don't want to be an enabler, but we're not talking about what you're going to do. We're talking about how you say it right now.
So how would somebody say that? Like, if they're in a relationship with somebody who's an addict and they continuously relapse and it's exhausting for the partner.
Right.
And the partner's like, I can't go through another relapse with you.
Right.
So is that fair to say, I cannot go through another relapse with you? Here, I'm trying to help you, but at the same time, I don't want to enable you.
Right.
So,
say it to that person in their experiential language well, but
Okay.
don't start threatening or warning.
Okay.
There's a difference there.
Yeah.
Because the minute we change that language, we're changing the point of the discussion. It was about, I love you, I care about you, I want to help you, I want to I'm in charge and I'm demanding this or else. Do you see the difference in that?
Yep.
Do you see the difference?
Yes.
And gang, that person's brain sees that and hears that and feels that difference also.
Right.
And then it's going to respond very differently.
Okay.
Do you guys hear the subtleties of how shifting? Do you hear this, you guys? Boy, do I grieve for our missing colleagues today. One day they're going to have clients whose lives would be better if they'd heard this discussion today. You hear what I'm saying with this? There's a reason why you need to be in class. And this is it right here. One day, somebody's life would have been better off if that person would have been sitting in their desk, their chair today, hearing this discussion. And hearing your confusions about it. And they could maybe be expressing theirs also. But they're not here today. Which means that one day they're not going to have this to offer to that other human being they're trying to help. Does that make sense, you guys? Isn't this exciting? Isn't this cool?
I mean, as I was listening to you, and I know you say the brain can't be trying to read something at the same time, and I was trying to grasp, well, I did grasp what you were saying, but then I read that motivational interview rule, RULE.
Right, we're gonna get to that.
And I went into that that listen with empathy, understanding the person, and empowering them.
And it's how we do it as counselors.
And that kind of, everything that you just said, you just have to.
It's how we do it as counselors. And we are gonna see. And what you brought up a little bit ago is gonna be a wonderful example next semester of issues we're gonna talk about in the professional clinical relationship, which is very different from any other relationship. Stop sneaky persuasion. Don't do that no more. Hey, we're good. We're trained. We're psychologists. We're counselors. We know all the tricks in the book, and we got the reverse psychology down and everything. Using paradoxical intent to the benefit of the client, and we'll be talking about paradoxical intent next semester, is different from sneaky persuasion. You see what I'm saying with that?
Can you give an example of sneaky
Yeah.
persuasion?
Just somehow or another. I mean, how about this? How about this? We're having a discussion about abortion. And you're pro-abortion, I'm anti. And I'm not saying what you are. I'm for this. So it's okay to fucking kill babies. And you're okay with that. You go to church every fucking Sunday and it says, thou shalt not kill, but you're okay with fucking killing fucking babies because they're inconvenient for you. Now, I made a real clever little point there, didn't I?
Because who's going to agree to kill babies, right?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like fallacies and that kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get my point?
Yes.
Can you argue with me?
Not when you're doing that kind of
I
shit,
believe you
no.
should.
No.
But you're not going to change my mind.
Did I just in one iota change your mind about anything?
Not at all.
Now, maybe, you know what, I'm tired of this fucking Kel's preaching to me. Yeah, you're right, Dan. But how long is that going to last?
Not very long.
Do you get my, does that
Yes.
answer your question?
Yes.
Now, is that what you're calling
Baby
sneaky
killer.
persuasion?
Yeah,
Sneaky
What?
persuasion.
That's an example of sneaky persuasion? Okay.
No.
I just want to make sure that I'm
Yeah,
thinking
that's
the
what I
right
was
thing.
trying to figure out. I was like, she still can battle with you if she's going to believe what her belief and stand
That's the
strong
point I'm
to it.
making. And now let's just switch that to a topic related to.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying with this, you guys? Avoid sneaky persuasion. Avoid just constant disagreeing. Don't forget, first of all, you guys, don't forget this. This is so very important. That brain, went back to the brain now. Boy, I'm sneaking back to the brain now. Yeah, I thought we were talking. I segued over to motivation. Don't forget, every different part of that brain. What did I say? The listening part of the brain is different than the writing stuff down part of it. But Dan, I am listening. What do you think I'm writing down? That's what you're saying. But the brain that you need to write stuff, all the energy you need to be writing that stuff means that energy should be used right now to hear stuff. What did I say the other day? Listening for a message is different from listening for an option. We talked about that. Remember that? And again, the hearing brain is different from the how do I come back on this brain. Counselors make that mistake all the time. That's why they have such a hard time demonstrating true, real empathy. Because I'm not really feeling you, listening to you. I'm just waiting for a way to snap back at you while you're an asshole. And why you're wrong. And why you're full of shit. You see what I'm saying with that, you guys? Every part of that brain is different. And it's with this. When I'm busy listening for a way to catch a client in a wrong or how I can disagree with them, I'm listening, but I'm listening for that purpose instead of how do I understand this person better purpose. Does that make sense? Those are two different parts of the brain. I need to be listening to hear and understand you, not to figure out why you're wrong and how to disagree with you. And gang, That's what this whole thing, you know what did we say? This idea, demonstrating to that client, I truly understand you. Now, what was the catch-22, the watch out for thing there? What was that? Somebody remind me.
Doesn't mean I agree with you.
Understanding doesn't mean agree with, endorse, or approve. That's right. And at some point, I probably am going to hope that I can help you choose a different way to look at this yourself. But it's how I do that. And if the split second you finish your last word, I'm charging back at why you're wrong, that's not accomplishing. Gang, every one of us, we're humans. We've got any relationship, any interpersonal interaction, anything you ever had, has that ever really worked? Has it really? Not really. Especially not for long-term, robust change. You hear what I'm saying with this? Who's a better counselor right now than they were before we took a break? Everything we do, you hear what I'm saying with this stuff? Criticizing. Again, judging. Another thing to watch out for, you guys, and I want you to start to become very, you future counselors, to start to become very aware of this. And it is a part of the essential interaction. We all got them. We all do them. Your little idiosyncratic nonverbal responses. We all, a nonverbal, one itty-bitty split-second little thing can say more than a whole sentence sometimes, can't it? I want you to start to ask people close to you who know you well to start to help you become aware of your idiosyncratic nonverbals.
What is, give a little quick example.
Rolling your eyes,
You see what I didn't say a damn word, I just told you you're full of shit, I'm tired of your fucking crap.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's
with
what I
my
mean.
daughter. They don't let you tear, they air out the tire.
There you go. The noises. And the noise is a nonverbal.
Yeah.
In other words, non-wordle.
Right.
There you go. There's a new one. A non-wordle.
Non-wordle.
Keltism.
Another one of your
What's a
your
neo-inclusivism?
lunatic
You had a
professor
word for that.
neologisms.
Ah, I knew it was a
Some-
neo something.
Now, gang, I want you to do this. I want you to, and this means you're going to have to thank that person when they point them out to you, because you're not going to like to hear them. I want somebody who knows you well and close to you, and don't get pissed off at them when they do it. Start to become aware of your little idiosyncratic, because do you realize how much that can do? I think I'm saying the right stuff, but that little, in fact, you're so good at it now, you don't even know you're doing it. Do you know what I'm talking about with that? Those little things that we do sometimes. And people read into that. And those kinds of things. I want you to become aware, and be careful of those little things. Become aware of them. Start to practice not doing them. And again, sometimes we're so good at some of those things that we don't even know we're doing them anymore. But we did. And you think of the last time you perceived that from somebody else. It can be a powerful message, can't it? You hear what I'm saying with this stuff, you guys? The power of this stuff. See how this is working?
I don't know, but can't that get annoying? I have a friend who's completed your course, and he works in, drug counseling, and every now and then we'll go have dinner or something, and I'll talk to him, and he's just blank, and I'm like, Dan, I swear to God, I'm gonna throw something in your fucking head.
Who are you talking about?
Dan Callahan. Big Dan.
Oh, Danny?
Yeah.
That made me Danny, too.
Okay. I'm like, Dan,
Danny's-
give me something here.
I love Danny. We're good.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
But the thing is this. First of all, I'm going to answer that question in two ways. Maybe somebody's over practicing or something, but the other thing is this, and you're right, too much of it. I mean, what is the healthiest damn thing you can put in your body? Just about better than broccoli.
Oh, broccoli.
I mean, too much broccoli at some point is toxic for you. Too much of anything is toxic.
Broccoli is a man-made vegetable. Just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Man-made.
We could debate this.
Wheat isn't
Look.
man-made. I mean, it's just grass.
It is.
It's
It was
anything-
genetically engineered in a lab.
Well, I know
Did not
that-
come from Indians. It was not put on Earth by whoever you want to believe.
Somebody had to have some natural particle in order to
telling you.
create the beginnings of
Can we
that.
all just agree it's fucking delicious?
Besides that,
Broccoli.
broccoli is good for it. But the point I'm making is,
They need to make it
No.
into
all right, how about too much water is bad. Too much of anything, and that is possible. It's how do you learn how? Once again, it's centeredness. It's finding the good middle.
Okay.
It's not that you become a blank stare, but it's just get in touch with those little idiosyncratic things that you could do that could, I mean, once again, out of your mouth is coming the greatest wisdom in the world, but it's those nonverbals that are destroying it.
I'm terrible with eye contact.
Some
like,
of those can start better conversations too.
Sometimes.
Like my counselor, I'll say something and she thinks I'm full of shit. And I can tell she thinks I'm full of shit. And I'm like, you think I'm full of shit? And she's like, well, now, hold on. And then we talk about why I'm pretty sure she thinks I'm full of shit.
Well,
It's mostly because I'm full of shit. But
and what I'd like to say that is that you're not full of shit, you're full of survival energy.
yes, I love that so much better. Sorry, I interrupted
Bang,
you.
I want to hear
No,
from
no,
people. I want to hear from... Motivational interview, don't do that stuff. The brain stuff, everything. I want to hear some, I want to hear some stuff from the very quiet people also. I want to hear something.
well, I can say two things. First of all, when you said something about our test, my brain shut down for like, a little portion of that because.
That exercise, you just learned something about your brain.
Yeah. The other thing is that this list makes sense. Like, it seems like common sense, really. But the nonverbal responses, I think, yeah, everybody has room for improvement on that. But as a recovering addict, anybody shaming, guilting, demanding, that's never worked for me. Like, don't do that
Don't
to
work
me.
for anybody.
So I would never want to inflict that on someone else.
Right.
But the nonverbal thing I think is big, and I feel like I struggle with that, like eye contact. When you get on our faces, I don't want to don't look in my eyes. I don't know why. That's so intimidating to me.
You
Like,
can use nonverbals to advantage also.
yeah,
You can use nonverbal to a great advantage also. The point I'm making right now is those, and you're probably so good at them, you don't realize little things you do that could be toxic to the message or to the relationship. We all got them. No, I'm not saying become a blank stare. And I'm not saying, hey, nonverbals can be sometimes one of the most important things I can do to express, well, even celebrate. Remember we said be careful celebrating and something? Is move forward.
yeah.
Change my that. But I'm talking about right now, become aware of those little things you do that could be toxic to the message or the relationship. This very fragile, multidimensional, clinical relationship.
I also have a hard time with like going back to the brain, like thinking about all the major moves we've made in science. We still don't have the shit figured out.
But the
Like,
thing
that's
is this,
so crazy to
we
me.
are so busy figuring out the mechanics of it.
Right, but
The frontal lobe's connected to we got that down, we're getting that better all the time.
This isn't measurable.
It's the translate that to a way to better understand the human condition, the human experience. Because bottom line, why do we do? That brain is supposed to be there for our welfare and to guide us and help us do the right stuff and help us survive and again, fight, feed, and make babies and all that stuff. Then why the hell is it, what is it just got mad at us? It just decided to be, why do we do dumb stuff? What did I say? Again, by understanding this, what was one of those first propositions we started this stuff with? If we were to begin a list of all the things that we love to hate about people today, the things that people do, don't do, the way they are, their personality, their characteristics, their traits, of all the things that we love to hate about people today, most of those things are the very things that made it possible for us to be here in the first place. It's just that, well, then that takes us to another proposition. And what is that other proposition? The brain never forgets. I forgot half that chemistry test. Kelps, what are you talking about? The brain never forgets survival. That brain, it latched on to classical conditioning. There may have been all kinds of other animals out there that could have turned into people. The only problem is their brains didn't give a shit about classical conditioning. They're not here today because they didn't make more of themselves in the long run. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Our capacity for classical conditioning, our capacity for tiger fighting, you know, that's the thing. This, essential to our survival, is what's getting us in all kinds of trouble today. The pleasure center is another example of that. What a wonderful thing that is. Except today, that's the thing that turns us all into a bunch of drug addicts and dope fiends. That wasn't put there to ruin our lives 2 million years later. That was there. If we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't be here today talking about it again. But they all get their double-edged sword.
So, could you say that, like, the history of psychology is where we really did ourselves a disservice in the very beginnings of times when we had to deal with people's feelings? Because if we had better dealt with feelings, then maybe...
We weren't thinking that way.
Yeah.
My brain was still way too much. Because, gang, I'm going to tell you, this part of the brain has been there for a long, from the beginning. Once this brain materialized in what it is today, that thing, but most of it wasn't being used very much. We didn't need to.
But it wasn't long ago that you said that people thought, or doctors thought, that the thought process was in the heart, right?
Well, that was because they.
And so then we weren't treating
Thought and feelings.
brains and stuff. Yeah, okay.
But once we even captured that reality. But what I'm talking about is a long
Right,
time ago.
right.
Back when we were still basically 4F. I mean, don't forget, probably one of the first stuff we started thinking about wasn't about how to, what we're having for dinner tonight, honey, or what movie. It was how to do 4F better.
Right.
Safer, more effectively. And that kind of a thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in that world, in the beginning, we didn't have time to worry about feelings.
Right.
Sitting here worrying about feelings, and next thing you know, somebody's stealing my food, or their tiger's turning me into food, or whatever else. Do you see what I'm saying? And that kind of thing. And this is a slow evolutionary process of what becomes. And we talked about there were many things that had. What did we say? Walking upright. Imagine what that did to that brain. How many parts of that brain suddenly had to get busy when all of a sudden these weren't feet anymore, and now what can I use these for? Do you realize how many parts of that brain had to get really busy? All of a sudden, parts of my brain that was not being, all of a sudden they're being used.
It's interesting to me, though, too, that, like, our brain, like, right now my brain's doing a million things as I sit here and talk with you. So essentially it's multitasking.
Right.
But I can't talk to two people at one time. Like, we haven't evolved to that. That's crazy to me.
It's just the way that brain works.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And one of the reasons why is because the most important thing your brain's doing, the most energy consuming, the most expensive thing it's doing of all is what? Autonomic, just keeping your body working. Before the very first thought, imagine how busy your brain is just keeping that body working right. What we're going to call job number one of the brain. Which is kind of important because you can have every happy thought in the world, but your heart quits beating. It doesn't matter no more, does it?
Right.
Does everybody see that? It's a priorities list, if you will.
Would that be like why people tend to get a little more, I don't want to say depressed, but I'm going to call it bummed out when they've been sick for a long time? Because
Sure.
all of that energy that would normally go to make them happy is focused on the fact that they just are shitty feeling.
There you go. There you go. Anybody else? How about somebody I haven't heard from yet today? Hint, hint. Back seat. Back row. I want you guys to get active with this stuff because we care about you, and And don't forget, you guys, every time you open your mouth, you're engaging a different part of that brain that's making that information become embedded in another new and valuable way.
Active learning.
Yes.
I think one thing that really, everyone skips over in counseling or doesn't really pay too much attention to is the whole like relationship between the husband and wife. I feel like that is very like impactful on either his relation or his or her relationship with addiction, or even just the attitude, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like a very important thing.
And it's
that needs to be
how
discussed.
those dynamics are also being interpreted, and if we're not careful, turned into other attacking tigers. You know, think of this for a minute. You go out drinking tonight again because you don't love me.
Yeah.
Knock it off. You go out drinking tonight not because you don't love me, it's because if you don't do this tonight, is your way the only way you know how to survive, then you won't survive, and then you won't love me anyway, ever anymore anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and how it turns into like a circling effect with
That's it.
How they're always
Observation, I
chasing
like that.
that problem.
That's what that is, you guys, and that's how, you know, what seems, and on the surface, I ask you, please don't, you don't love me. No, actually, it's got nothing to do with whether or not you love me. It's got to do with you're confronted with a point in your existence, in your experience right now, where this is what you got to do to survive. Because if you don't survive, all the love in the world ain't going to matter. You're not here. Do you see what I'm saying with that? Do you guys get that? And that's another one of those little sneaky persuasions. The you don't love me kinds of things and stuff like that. Do you guys see this? It's not about who loves who. And in those relationships like that, and those bonded interpersonal relationships, yes, it's all the same dynamics, but they get to become even more complex. Because now we do throw in the issues of love, commitment, and caring, and those kinds of things like that. All that. Do you guys see this stuff? Yes.
What if you got you're in a relationship where you got girls' night out and you got guys, night out, and it's a regular thing that if Marie and her friends, it's girls' night.
So, and
I'm there with the kids, so it's an understanding. It isn't you don't love me or you should spend more time.
I'm talking
with
about
me.
the extreme cases where
you went into
it really is a problem.
Somebody's actually having a problem. They can't stop.
This is serious.
Right.
She really does need to not drink tonight.
Right.
And I say, well, don't drink. You don't love me. That's why you're going to drink. That's convoluted.
Make it more of a problem.
It's not accomplishing anything.
Right.
You hear that, you guys?
I thought that he was just trying to be.
No, we're not talking about normal.
There's no,
we're not talking about normal. I mean,
right.
And what we're talking about are these situations, and again, how? And the minute all of a sudden you don't love me, I've just turned this into a tiger attack, and now guess what? My next step is not to try and prevent you from drinking tonight to help you. My job now is to prevent you from drinking tonight so that we can both realize who's in control here. Do you see the difference in that? Do you see how that works, you guys? See y'all on Thursday. You guys have a good one.
My best
Watch out
friend
for that
divorced
big
for
blizzard
alcohol.
we got coming.
She's like, Claire, I don't understand why you won't cook for me. And I'm like, dude, it has nothing to
do with you.
Dan, I have